Hi YouTube, with the Blazer here again. Had a four-wheel drive issue yet again, if you can imagine. Uh, so this is after the actuator has been replaced. I had an issue, so we'll talk about it. It's actually a kind of a crazy story, like just my luck that would happen. But yeah, let's get to it. So here we are. There's the Blazer. So, if you guys remember in a video previously, I had no four-wheel drive of any kind. Try to get this one-handed with my head. I had no four-wheel drive at all. Hadn't for a while. Since the last time this was legally running. Before most recent. And I didn't know the answer, but I had a very strong hunch that it was the actuator up underneath the battery, which it was. Fixed that, no problem. Changed the diff oil on the front because it was kind of milky and whatnot. So works fine. A couple weeks later, I go to use the four-wheel drive and nothing. So I poke around. No, I'm not getting any vacuum to the actuator. The actuator's up underneath here. This is the vacuum hose for it. It runs up underneath there. And the vacuum line itself goes up around the engine and it terminates, it tees off somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where. I think it's right down in there somewhere. But anyway, I got to do some research online because there was no vacuum coming to that actuator. So in my head there was no vacuum because all the symptoms pointing to the vacuum switch on the transfer case showed that it would get stuck open and provide vacuum to the actuator constantly. So A, I was getting no vacuum, and B, 2 years ago, the seal between the transmission and transfer case apparently went out on this and pumped all the transmission fluid from the transmission into the transfer case and out the vent or something, whatever the transmission guy said. But it's got a rebuilt transmission and transfer case in it. They rebuilt it for me. So I figured that switch should be fine. But again, no vacuum. So I'm doing some research, and I'm doing this after work in the dark, poking around here and there. And one day, I'm at the yard and letting the Blazer warm up and the truck cool down before heading home. And I'm like, I'll pop the hood and poke around. No big deal. And I read that there was, up in this corner, here's your ABS pump, your brake reservoir, and I think this is your cruise control. I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, there's a vacuum line that likes to rot out down in here. I cannot find, it was like a little 6-inch line that ran somewhere down in there or somewhere in this area. I cannot find where it went, but it was rotted, disconnected, and cracked. So, yeah, I put a cap on it. First off, little side note, if anyone knows where that vacuum line goes to up here, please drop it down in the comments, because I haven't found anything that doesn't work yet, but I'm sure it's for something. I don't know, everything works fine, so. But anyway, so this line, I think this is the T for the transfer case. Yeah, that's for the this is off the engine. This goes, I don't know where. This goes to the transfer case, down. And this line here, this hard line, goes into your cab. That is for your HVAC controls. So, I noticed, and that's what partially, once I found the vacuum leak here, I noticed the AC controls weren't working. So, that was interesting. Put that cap on, and AC controls work great. Better than since I've owned the vehicle. The best. When did I buy this? I think it was 2015, November 2015. So for 6 years now, that line's probably been cracked a bit and leaking a little bit. But, yeah, so I do that in the AutoZone parking lot. Put a little cap on it. Whatever. Hit the road. And get on the interstate to come home, and all of a sudden, starts moaning. And moaning. And getting worse. So I pull off on the side of the road, pop the hood. I'm like, the only thing I've done different is put this cap on. So I shut the vehicle off, took the cap off, drove home. Got home, put the cap back on, and started screwing with stuff. So if you take your smartphone, because you don't have a inspection camera, and you shove it down in the crevasse betwixt the battery and the lower radiator hose, with your camera rolling and your flashlight on, and point it towards the fender, you can see the actuator. So I started pushing the buttons, and I realized, I'm looking at the video, I'm like, that looks like it's on constantly. And so I shut the car off, removed that vacuum line, started the car back up with my phone in there, and it was open. I just put my thumb over the line, to create a vacuum seal, so that the vacuum would actuate, close up the leak, and it would go on and off. So, not only did I have a vacuum leak that fixed the four-wheel drive, and B, the vents are working better than they ever have, the switch on the transfer case got stuck open. So, I don't know if it's a coincidence and they both, I fixed one and the other broke, or they've both been broke, or it was just leaking a little bit, and this was leaking a little bit, so they counteracted themselves, which would be my luck as well. I don't know, it's just a funny story. But, yeah, so if you crawl underneath, I'm not crawling underneath, I'm in a nice hoodie. But if you crawl underneath on the driver's side of the transfer case, there's a switch up on top. You need a 7/8 ratchet, preferably stubby if you can find one. A ratcheting one is even better. But you pull the vacuum line thing off. There's 3 vacuum lines in a boot with a little tang so you can line it up properly so the functions are correct. And just pull the rubber boot, crack her loose with a wrench, hand screw it out, hand screw the other one in, cinch her down, put the rubber lines back on, and you're good to go. It's a bit tight, but it's doable. So after that was done, I did the same thing, put my phone down in the crevasse into the dark abyss and tested it. It works fine. So if you're having a vacuum leak, I guess this is kind of like a story time, funny story, and to talk over a DIY check this area for a vacuum leak. We'll check the whole thing for a vacuum leak, but especially this area. That seems to be a common problem, is that little stubby line right there. And then the switch on your transfer case also. So if you have no four-wheel drive, you probably have a vacuum leak. And if you have four-wheel drive all the time, it's the switch. So that's it. Just a little story time and overview of how to fix the four-wheel drive on this thing yet again. But it's running good. It's running real good. In fact, right there, as you can see, there's no car. The Nissan is in the shop with a charging issue that I thought I fixed, but again, it was O'Reilly's alternator was bad. Returned that for a Nissan one from the dealer, which also turned out to be bad. Not as bad as the O'Reilly one, but it's at the dealer. It's getting fixed, and because I bought the part through them and installed it myself, and it's toast, they're A, replacing the part because it's under a parts replacement, and B, they're covering the warranty for the headache. So I'm happier than a pig in poop. But yeah, so just diagnostic fee for that, and that'll be done. And the junk F-350 is in the shop yet again, so the work truck. So I'm not even getting started on that thing. So yeah, but anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe for more. This thing's running great. It's the savior right now, as you can tell, with those other vehicles being down for the count. You can see some pictures. I've posted a few pictures of this thing on there, and others. I'm getting back in my groove on social media, which is K30 Crazy on both Facebook and Instagram. So go give me a follow and a like on there. But as I end all my videos, stay crazy and have a good one, people.